Welcome back to Comic Book History, episode number 78. Yeah, it's quite surprising though I haven't really done one of these in quite some time. Not since November. Yes, sorry for the wait. Okay, you probably think, okay, which character we're talking about this episode? Well, how about a character who is no longer alive in comics right now? Let's talk about that one. Who is it? The Sentry. Yep, the Sentry. You're probably thinking, why the heck are you talking about this character for? A character who, reception-wise, even from me personally, from what I heard, he has gotten overwhelmed negative reception over the years. Mainly due to the fact that he got a really big push when it was completely unnecessary. Now, his first appearance was back in The Sentry #1. No, seriously, that was his first appearance. Allegedly, he was some forgotten Golden Age Silver Age superhero from Stan Lee, but the thing is, he only appeared like 22 years ago. No, seriously. He is a creation of Paul Jenkins, Jay Lee, and Rick Veitch. Yes. Now, in the case of the character himself, he, of course, did appear in that opening issue, which was an 8-issue limited series, from what I can tell anyways. After that, nothing for about 5 years. Until, for some reason, Bendis remembered, oh yeah, we have this character in the Sentry. Can we use him? I guess so. Marvel was like, go ahead, we have no plans for him. By the way, his real name is Reynolds. Yes, where he appears in the opening story arc of New Avengers. Yep. By the way, the first run was an 8-issue limited series. Yep. Oh yeah, basically it had like a few one-shots. Barely mentioned them. Yeah, and by the way, his arch nemesis is called The Void. And you're thinking, who the heck is the frickin' Void, you might ask? Well, he is simply an alternate personality of the Sentry. That's literally what the character is. And the thing is, the Sentry is insane. Now, he went to prison because allegedly he believed he murdered his wife. Well, found out, nope, that was not true at all. I did mention this guy to David Finch in one of his live streams. Like, was there anything he contributed to the Avengers comic that's still impacting today? Yes, he gave the Sentry long hair. Yep, so you gotta thank David Finch for giving the Sentry long hair. He was, from what I can tell, probably not one of his favorite characters drawn in the book. I'm sure probably his favorite character was Wolverine. Now, of course, basically, Sentry did appear in the opening story arc, and then he basically appeared in the following story arc, which is called Sentry. This story arc is noteworthy for the debut of the Illuminati. Yep, and at the end of this 4-part story arc, mind you, that's when he officially joins the New Avengers. And he pretty much becomes a regular supporting character, a regular member of the group up into issue 25, which was the tie-in to Civil War 1. Also with him joining the team, he got another mini-series and another series of one-shots where he teamed with very stupid superheroes. And he later on got another mini-series, Aid to the Sentry. Yes, mostly put this one, just explored basically his backstory, like over the years. Also at that point, he wore a freaking mask. Yep. Now, who wrote these books, mind you? Well, yes, Paul Jenkins did write the original miniseries. Now, Sentry Volume 2. I know who wrote the last volume for the series. I'll get to that. Now, the second volume for the series, this was done by... also by Paul Jenkins, but Jeremy Jr. on the artwork this time. Yep, definitely. Yep. Now, as for Age of the Sentry, that was another miniseries he had. Yeah. This was basically the covers themselves are basically little homages to classic comic book covers. This came out in 2008. This is done by Jeb Parker. Yeah, and here's the weird thing about it. This book is not canon of the Marvel Universe. Nope, it's completely fiction. Weirdly enough, it only appears just in this miniseries and like one issue of Amazing Spider-Girl. This was 6 issues. Love the covers. I love the fact a lot of the covers basically were just good homages to like classic Silver Age covers. Like they have Carol Danvers known as the Sentress, which is simply like a sidekick for the Sentry. Yeah. Now, after Civil War I, he became part of the Mighty Avengers group, which he was part of the group until after the events of Secret Invasion. Yeah, in this book, basically, he is indirectly responsible for starting the events of Annihilation Conquest, where in the opening story arc, the Mighty Avengers fought Ultron, and he threw Ultron to space. One of 2 times he did this. The first time he did this, I actually forgot to mention this. In the opening story arc of New Avengers, by what Donny Cole's references in a later crossover, which I'll get to that, where he picked at the Sentry, dragged him to freaking outer space, and he ripped him in half. Yes. Though Marvel has since retconned, oh yeah, Cleus Cassidy was not in the symbiote at the time, it was somebody else. And then later on, the symbiote came back anyways, and Cleus Cassidy was alive and well. At the time, people thought he was dead for years until like the Carnage miniseries. Which was released 5 years later, and it's done by Clayton Crane, artwork written by Zay Wells. I've been lugging my hands in this miniseries. Yeah. Though this one itself basically... Well, how should I put this? This apparently brought back the Carnage symbiote, and Cleus Cassidy, who, by the way, is no longer alive in comics. Yeah, how he came back is not exactly thoroughly explained. It's like he no longer was the host symbiote, and then, of course, he became the host of it again. Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing with Sentry being ripped in half, that was something that never was thoroughly explained. By the way, the very next story arc is basically when they had the Mighty Avengers take on a bunch of Venom symbiotes. Yep, it was Verge Planet Symbiotes. That's basically what Bendis did for the opening 2 story arcs. Like, fight Ultron, and then Planet Symbiote stuff. And then for the next 10 issues being stuff related to Secret Invasion. Well, this was after the opening 12 issues, actually. And then after Bendis wrapped up this book, he took the Sentry and moved him over to the Dark Avengers. Yes, where in the opening story arc, the Sentry apparently dies. And here's a little fun fact for you. Did the Sentry appear outside of his book? In any of like the Marvel books, mind you. Well, he did make a guest appearance in the issue of Iron Man. Well, the relaunch volume, the one other. This actually was the arc that came right after the events of Extremis. And he did take part in a couple crossovers. And you might be asking, Nick, did he take part in Civil War 1? No. As a matter of fact, if you read the entire miniseries, he's not even there. No, seriously, he's not even there. He does make a brief guest appearance at the start of House of M. Yep. Though he does, his first official event he takes part in is World War Hulk. Mainly because he's a friend, old friend of the Hulk's. So he ends up basically staying in his house because apparently he has this fear of leaving his own house. And this lasts throughout the entire miniseries until the final issue he finally decides to leave his house and proceeds to beat the crap out of the Hulk. Yep. That's simply what it was. But the thing is, Sentry's appearances outside of the book were very scarce at best. Like appeared for one issue of Amazing Fantasy. I believe this was the issue that had the female Scorpion. Uh, no, I don't think it. No, actually, it wasn't. It was actually someone named Vegas who doesn't really appear anymore. It only appears like a couple times, and that was it. I think his parents were just a cameo. Oh yeah, just on-screen stuff. But he also appeared in a couple issues of New Thunderbolts, of course, his own miniseries. He appeared in Thunderbolts several times. Appeared in issue of the Avengers, an issue meeting Spider-Man, probably as a lead-in to Civil War One. He did appear in one issue of Civil War. He didn't really do anything in Civil War One at all. Yeah, it's not really noteworthy exactly what the heck he did during Civil War One. Yep, but Hulk. Yep, people know what he did in that event. You might be thinking, did he do anything for Secret Invasion? No. Not that I could think of, no. He never really... There wasn't anything noteworthy he did during Secret Invasion. Yeah, I don't remember taking part in that event. Not really, if he did play a minor role in the book. Yep. Of course, later he does a rematch with the Green Hulk, because the whole Red Hulk type of thing. But then when he joined New Dark Avengers, he of course basically mostly just appeared in the Dark Avengers book with a couple guest appearances in Mighty Avengers when Dan Slott wrote the book. During the Avengers Siege, he went nuts. Yeah, he went nuts, killed Loki, killed Ares, and eventually he was killed by Thor. And his body was dumped in the sun. Yep, it was explained in the Sentry Fallen Sun one-shot that came right after Siege, and he remained dead after that for about 3 years, until Rick Remender brought him back as a Horseman of Death. I am not kidding. They gave him a Death Seed, and made one of the Horsemen of Death along with the Grim Reaper, Daken, and Banshee. Yeah, and he was here throughout this whole Apocalypse Twin storyline. Where at the end of it, basically, there was this weird thing in one of the issues where he did something really gross. He proceeded to, rip his own head apart. I guess because he's a freaking zombie. I guess so. And then, of course, basically, after Thor killed Alex the Executioner in the finale for the story arc, Sentry's like, I'll take his body deep in space. And wasn't seen again for... Let's see, this was back in, I think it was 2014, I think this was. He did return again for about 3 years. Until he popped up in, of all books, I think he popped up in Doctor Strange, which seems quite weird for him to do. Yeah, he popped up in Doctor Strange of all places. Yes, but he did play a part in the whole Dark Reign stuff. And Siege. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he popped up during Donny Coates' run for Doctor Strange, which that seemed interesting at best. Yep, and then he had his own very brief ongoing series by Jeff Lemire, which got canceled after 5 issues. I do not know why the book got canceled. It got canceled probably due to low sales. It's kind of weird. He did pop up one issue after he did one issue of Marvel Knights 20th. Probably because he was part of Marvel Knights, the original line. 2 issues of Black Panther and Age of Wakanda. Appeared a few issues of Annihilation Scourge. And he also appeared in King of Black #1, where he decided to repeat what happened in New Avengers #2 by taking Cole to space this time and trying to rip him in half. Cole's like, nope, you're not doing that to me, so he proceeds to rip the Sentry in half. Yes, he rips apart the Sentry. Yeah, Sentry is basically ripped in half. And then later on he pops up in, of all books, King of Black Thunderbolts. As a freaking zombie. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Though he did also, appear in the pages of King in Black, Return of the Valkyries. But he did ever pop up in the pages of King in Black Thunderbolts, where he was actually part of the group. What seems interesting at best, I think it was a zombie. Yeah, apparently they found him, and they kind of made him part of the team. Yeah, it was something Fisk decided to do. Yeah, apparently the Thunderbolts found his freaking corpse and sort of reanimated him. And kind of made him part of the team. Though, since then, no one has seen the Sentry since then. He's still dead. He's been dead for like a year. A little over a year he's been dead. As far as I can tell, there has been no immediate plan to survive the character. Probably because no one has anything to do with the character anymore. Yes. Now, I'm not really sure why the heck Rosenberg died because I had to make him a frickin' like reanimate his frickin' corpse. Yeah, as far as I can tell, there is just no reason for this at all. No, seriously. He was reanimated by let's see, who was the person who did it? Yeah, it was one of the Thunderbolts who did it. I think it was Fragment, I think it was. No, it wasn't Fragment. It was one of the members of the group. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, that was the last that anybody saw the Sentry. Him being part of Thunderbolts as a walking corpse. Yes, seriously, that's literally what they did with the character. And as far as I can tell, they've really done nothing with the character since then. I mean, that last appearance was like last year. And nothing. Yeah. I kind of wish they would do something with the character, but, well, I mean, is it interesting of a character? No. I did hear something, the reception I heard from the period from 2005 about 2010. Marvel really wanted to push this guy, and I didn't know at this point, I knew about years later, that apparently fans did not want to see this character get a lot of spotlight. They probably want other characters to spotlight, not the Sentry. He had this thing where when he became part of the new Avengers, he put his headquarters on top of Avengers Tower, aka Stark Tower, and remained there up until his death in 2010. After that, it was replaced by Heimdall's Observatory, which I don't know if it's still there or not because the building was sold by Tony Stark after Avengers Secret Wars. When Sentry came back, no mention of what happened to the building. As for his wife, she appeared alive and well, didn't do very much. Mostly she just slept a lot of the time when she appeared in comics. Until during the events of, I think it was just prior to Siege, in order to, let's just say, motivate the Sentry, Bullseye murdered Sentry's wife. In the pages of Dark Avengers. For reasons. Yeah, I have no idea why in the world that somebody thought was a good idea to kill off the Sentry's wife. Yeah, and the Void is still occasionally appeared since then. Yeah. As for the Void himself, well, after the events of a crossover known as Utopia, the Void became part of Emma Frost's mind for a while. But the thing about the Void is he's just a dark personality. And he's gone. Yeah, apparently he got killed off panel on the pages of all things, King of Black #5. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was literally like, how should I put this? That was literally like the first time they actually, that's what they said to kill him off for. Probably because basically nobody wanted anything to do with the Void anymore. No, not really. Yeah, I'm not really sure why, but that's basically what they've done with the character since then. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but why pick the Sentry? I mean, who else could talk about the Sentry? Is he an interesting character? Kind of, yes. But the thing is, he doesn't get much development. A lot of the time when you see this guy, He just shows up, beats a few bad guys up, and goes away. A lot of people have seen this guy as a Superman ripoff, based on his appearance and the fact he uses similar powers. Despite the fact that Marvel already has a ripoff of Superman named Hyperion, who's got very similar powers, except he's a human, not an alien. Yeah. Or like his X-ray vision is basically his atomic vision and his freeze breath is something else. Yeah. But in the case of basically Sentry himself, would I recommend checking out his appearances? Yeah, go ahead. Check him out. I would... What recommendation I would recommend? I would definitely recommend the first story arc of New Avengers, seeing him rip out the Carnage to me. That was awesome. I would definitely recommend his time in the pages of New Avengers, Mighty Avengers, and Dark Avengers. He did good on that book. A lot of the time he appeared outside of the book, he didn't do very much though. I mean, aside from his own miniseries, whenever he came out with one, he didn't do a lot. The only book I recommend is his time he appeared in the first arc for Don Nichols' Doctor Strange, his brief solo book, and of course King of Black to see him die again. Second time. Yep. Excuse me. So yeah, that's particularly it for this particular review. Stay tuned for tomorrow for my reviews for Freya, Shaman King, and maybe in our Comic Corner. And I just want to put this out today because I had no more videos planned for today. But I want to do something. So here you go. Okay? Next video. Bye.